Soon as DC falls, they'll turn on each other.
Whatever happens, we don't quit.
It's important to finish things once we start them.
今からやろうとしていることがそういう後の誇りに触れる部分なんだということを理解
Hello and welcome to this week's film show. I'm joined by our critic, Lisa Nesselson, to talk us through some of the notable new releases. And Lisa, we are starting with a film that's on my and I think many other people's lists, Alex Garland's new adventure in speculative fiction, Civil War. It is set in the US, where a number of states have seceded from the Union. Dead bodies and demolished infrastructure are now common sights. Were you convinced by this vision of America at war?
I was not only caught up in the proceedings, I was entertained. It's a movie, but an unsettling one. The title and some trailers would lead one to believe that this is an action movie. And there is action and plenty of it, but what it really is an involving look at how we get our information, form our opinions, and the role that intrepid journalists play in paving the way for what people end up believing. It follows a small group of photojournalists and reporters determined to make it through enemy lines to interview the president, who is holed up in a soon-to-be besieged White House. A lot of the territory they cover looks like a war zone, because it is. This is spooky stuff.
All right, well, let's get a feel for the tense atmosphere of Civil War.
You watch. Soon as DC falls, they'll turn on each other.
Whatever happens, we don't quit.
Oh my God.
You don't want to miss this. God bless America.
Now, Lisa, I have to say, as an American, this film is a bit triggering, particularly in a divisive election year. How much does it actually tell us about what each side believes?
Not a lot, but the setup we're plunged into makes it obvious that the nation is very divided, at war with itself, both figuratively and literally. It's speculative fiction that isn't that far-fetched in a country with a minimal grasp of history and lots of guns. The movie starts with the President of the United States rehearsing what he's about to say on TV. Victory, says he, has never been so close at hand. Hang on, define victory. Not only have several states seceded from the Union, there are flags with only 2 stars on them. And we learn he's on his 3rd term. In 2024, you still only get 2. Kirsten Dunst plays Lee, a battle-hardened war photographer with a high-profile reputation. She takes the photos. Her colleague Joel writes the stories. Here's Kirsten Dunst.
I think the fact that it's told through journalists' eyes makes it feel so much more human, and these people are just servicing their job, getting to the truth, and it's not glamorous in any way. And so I think it's a real love letter to photojournalists and journalism in general, and yeah, how they put their lives at risk and what they see to tell the truth and record.
Lee, Joel, and their aging mentor, Sammy, end up in a van together with ambitious 23-year-old newbie Jessie, who admires Lee to pieces and wants to be just like her. She's played by Kaylee Spaney, who was Priscilla Presley in Sofia Coppola's recent film. We're sitting here in a building full of journalists, and I feel comfortable saying, why, yes, we do need journalists, preferably good ones.
I have to agree with that. All right, Lisa, we're going to go from a merely dark film to some dark humor. LaRoy, Texas won 3 top prizes at the Deauville Festival of American Film last September. It's out in France this week. Now, this is an American film, but it has French producers. How did that happen?
The story behind how this incredibly entertaining dark comedy came to be is the sort of thing that puts a smile on my face for days on end. 2 French producers from Cannes, not from Paris, just starting out, saw the director's short film at France's Clermont-Ferrand Film Festival and decided they'd love to work with him. I'm glad they did.
All right, well, let's take a look at LaRoy, Texas, an ensemble film full of surprises.
This guy's a maniac.
It's important to finish things once we start them.
Wait! Get off me! Get
This guy knows something. I can see it in his eyes.
You can't just go around drowning people.
Well, that was one guy.
Now that's just a tiny slice of a crafty, sardonic iceberg. The movie is a case of mistaken identity that's anything but a mistake for viewers. The script resembles a fine timepiece that's taken a detour into Salvador Dali dripping territory. Moping, unassuming, hangdog, and suicidal Ray is contemplating ending it all with the pistol he's just bought. He goes to a parking lot to pull the trigger when a man gets in his car, hands Ray a brown paper bag filled with money, and emphasizes that the murder must take place the next day. The murder? Ray, not terribly assertive at the best of times, tries to give the cash back, but he's told they have a deal. They do. Ray has been mistaken for a contract killer, a hitman with a ferocious work ethic. When he agrees to kill somebody, he follows through. As the action takes off, you can't help wondering how so many delectably sleazy people could possibly be living in the same Texas town behind facades of respectability. This is a dream come true for a cast of character actors that are enormous fun to watch.
All right, well, you clearly like this one a lot, Lisa, so maybe I'll consider it. The next film is from Japanese director Ryusuke Hamaguchi. It's his 10th film. It's just come out in France. Now, his previous movie, Drive My Car, won the Best Screenplay Prize in Cannes and went on to win Best International Feature at the Oscars last year. How does this film, Evil Does Not Exist, compare?
When you're looking for a movie to go to, hardly anybody says, you know what I'm looking for is a slow, carefully made contemporary story about man and nature with an ending that will almost certainly leave me baffled. This is definitely the most beautiful film we're likely to see this year, with a lengthy passage about a large, but not large enough, septic tank. More about that in a minute. Evil Does Not Exist introduces us to Takumi, a good man of few words who lives in a rural enclave a few hours outside Tokyo by a pristine lake. We see him chopping firewood with precise swings of an axe, filling jerry cans with the clear local water so a noodle shop can make their especially tasty noodles with it, devoting himself to his 8-year-old daughter each day after school as he teaches her the names of trees and the habits of wild deer. Who would want to upset this leisurely symbiotic balance? Why, a firm in Tokyo planning to cash in on post-COVID subsidies to build a glamping resort. Glamping, I learned that's a contraction of glamour and camping.
Yeah, two things that are perhaps better left separate. Let's take a look at Evil Does Not Exist.
ってるほど住民の方たちはバカじゃないですよ。
レイモードさんには今からやろうとしていることがそういう街の誇りに触れる部分なんだっていうことを理解して。
遅くなりました。
今日もきっと忘れてるから歩いて帰るって。
Now, Lisa, usually I think a movie gets made and then the composer makes the musical score to go with it, but this collaboration was different.
Musician Aiko Ishibashi, who had composed the wonderful score for Drive My Car, asked Hamaguchi if he would shoot images to go along with some music she was composing. He came to visit her at her semi-rural studio and ended up deciding to make this movie, which he shot in that location. There's actually not that much music, just the infused inspiration. One of my favorite sequences is when two city slickers call a meeting, ostensibly to get input from the local population. A major sticking point is that the cesspool they've planned, if situated where they've chosen, will contaminate the glorious, clear drinking water on which the local population relies. That sequence, easy to follow. I'm honestly not sure what happens at the end of the film, and reading my colleagues, I'm not alone. Still, it won the Grand Jury Prize at the most recent Venice Film Festival.
Yeah, I think this does look like a nice one. All right, finally, Lisa, I hear that you've been jumping up and down with excitement over the release of a DVD boxed set.
Why, yes, it's not hyperbole to say that this is a moment I have been waiting for 50 years. French DVD purveyors extraordinaire, a company called Carlotta, have issued a limited edition box set of 7 DVDs and a terrific accompanying 160-page book with the collected and as recently restored by Les Films de Losange filmic output of writer-director Jean Eustache. Who's Jean Eustache? Well, he killed himself in 1981, but prior to that, he made my favorite French film of all time, 1973's The Mother and the Whore. It's a splendidly cast love triangle set in and around Saint-Germain-des-Prés about the letdown after the societal upheaval of May 68. and what youngish people were left with when the sexual revolution let them down.
Okay, but why is the DVD boxed set such a big deal?
Well, because Eustache's films, including documentaries and shorts, have been incredibly difficult to see for decades. There were bootleg copies floating around, bad video dubs, worn-out VHS tapes of The Mother and the Whore were going for hundreds of dollars online. Eustache's sons tied up the rights for a while, but now, if you speak French, you can relish his work in its entirety with fab bonus material, including TV show interviews from the scandalous world premiere in Cannes in 1973, back when a film festival scandal was really a scandal. I saw it a year later in Chicago, and this movie may have had a lot to do with why I ended up living in France. So in that way, people who say movies are dangerous, they may have a point. There's a really interesting short documentary about how they restored The Mother and the Whore, frame by frame and sound by sound, if you require English subtitles. The Criterion Collection has the English language rights. And be it known that here in France, there are 80 companies that restore films and bring them out on DVD, some quite beautiful in terms of packaging and rare extras. I get peeved when I read more and more that nobody buys DVDs. French people do, and it's foolish to think that any movie you may want to see will always be streaming somewhere.
All right, Lisa, well, we will leave everyone with a look at your beloved The Mother and the Whore. Thank you so much, as always. Thanks to all of you for watching. For more culture, you can always head to our website or find Arts24 on social media, and there's more news coming up on France 24 right after this.
Je suis affreuse.
Mais vous avez une façon d'être affreuse qui vous va très bien.
Foutez-moi le camp. Oust. Je liquide.
Mon cœur est une fleur d'automne, sans ça. Comme vous êtes pauvre, comme vous êtes con, comme je vous déteste. Je vous le donne.